Today I am back with our Label Editor software, and I wanted to show you a feature that you might not even know this software has. It's called Print Paste. And what we are going to use it to do is to create kind of a multi-label, one label with multiple labels. So you can see here, this label is the one that we're going to make today. I've done it in different colors, so you can see the top is orange, and then I have two more labels underneath it. And for this, I'm using our 1.5 inch polyester PET tape. So I've got the 1.5 inch orange and then the 1.5 inch white as well. So without further ado, let me show you how I made this good looking label. First, you can see we're on, again, this new open screen in the Label Editor software. We're familiar with this screen. For this, we don't need anything other than just to make sure that our tape is on the appropriate size, and it is. And then I can go ahead and just enter horizontal text. Okay, wonderful. So now we can start laying out our label. So for this particular label, I do want it to be a set length. So I'm going to set that first over on the right hand side. I'm going to click on the tape length, and we are going to set this to manual and 5 inches. Okay, so I just hit in 5.0 and enter, and you can see it's applied that to my label. So now I want to go ahead and start designing this label. So the top part is the warning label. So I'm going to bring that onto the label first. And we do have all of the headers or signals in our symbols library, and they are called signal words. So I'm going to just scroll down to that category. There's a ton of different languages in here, so I'm just going to go ahead and find the warning in English and hit OK. And then it's going to bring it over to my label here. You can see my cursor has turned into kind of this white box, and I can drop it on there. Now this is too big for my label, so just like we've done in the past, I'm going to use those blue buttons around it to just shrink it down and make it the size that I need it to be. Okay, drag it onto my label. Make sure everything is within that printable area here. Make it just a tiny bit. Perfect. Okay. Great, so now that I got that on my label, how do we do these 3 different ones? I told you I did 3 different labels at one time, so how did we do that? So that is using this print paste feature. Print paste printing is what it says on the screen here. So it's in this right hand toolbar, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the drop down, and it's going to allow me to select how many labels I want to stack on top of each other. So for this application, I'm doing 3 individual labels. So now you can see that has applied that to my label. You can see these little dotted lines. This is indicating my page breaks between the 3 different labels. So I'm going to bring my warning up to the top. That's the top label that I want. And then I'll show you once we get there, but this is going to actually allow me to be able to print them in different colors as well. So again, you saw my sample that I printed in orange. So I'll show you that when we get to printing, but I like to use these page breaks intentionally. This printer does not have the capability to print edge to edge, so I like to be intentional with those page breaks and purposely make sure that it's not cutting off anything important on my label. All right, so now let's go ahead and keep working on our label. We're gonna do the next part of our label, which is our arc, flash, and shock hazard. So I'm just gonna go over here to text. I'm gonna bring it over to my label, and I'm gonna start typing. And you can see this is way bigger than I need it to be. So I'm actually gonna adjust that now. I'm gonna bump it down. I think 44 should get me right about where I want it to be. So I'm going to do that, and then I can go ahead and just double click and start typing, or continue typing actually. And shock hazard. Okay, making sure I'm spelling things correctly. Arc, flash, and shock hazard. Okay, perfect. So now that I've got that on there, I can go ahead and move it up onto my label. But you see how it's still not fitting in there, right? It's interrupted by that page break. So this is a really cool feature that I use all the time. And you can do this with any time that you have multiple text or lines of text on a label. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my text box, and I'm going to go down to properties. And now what I can do is I can actually control the line spacing. So I use this all the time. It's super helpful to just really help get more information into a designated area. So you can select some of these options here, but my default, I'll show you my trick. My default is usually I click manual and I do -10. It's just kind of the default. That's what I start at. You can do negative 15, 20, anything like that, just kind of depending on your letters and how you want them to look. But let's go ahead and see how that looks. So I'll hit OK, and you'll see that it scooched that text up. Okay, so now I can go ahead and I can move this up. It looks like I actually need it a little bit tighter. So I'm going to do that again. Do this, spacing. I'm going to do negative 15 this time. Perfect. Okay, so now everything is on that middle label, just how I want it to be. Wonderful. I do want to make sure that my text is centered, so I'm going to hit the center here. Wonderful. And then again, I can center this on the label as well. So I'll just go ahead and do that while we're there. And you see that that's just kind of adjusting things, bringing everything in line. Okay, so now we've got label 2 done. We only have one more to go. So the last one is where it has the symbol and then it has the appropriate PPE and refer to the NFPA 70E regulation. So let's go ahead and get that on here. I'm going to do the symbol first. So this is our symbols here. It's the little star and paperclip button. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And then this symbol in particular is probably in a couple of different areas, but I'm going to go get it from electrical, and it is right here is the one I wanted. Perfect. It's also in the ANSI category, I do believe. So hit that. Okay. It's going to bring me over to my label. Now you can see it's giving me kind of a box of the text, and it's really big. It's always going to try to make it as big as your label. So right now my label is really big. So I'm actually going to use the gray area around my label as kind of a working space. And you can do that with anything that is in the gray area will not print. So if you want to put something there, sometimes I'm like swapping out different logos or things, but you can use that area. Okay. Now the other thing that is really helpful with this is I can adjust the size of the image by using the blue buttons and dragging the corners, just like we've done before. But you can also set the block size. And I like to do that, especially when I'm using multiple symbols or things like that. I like to make sure that they are appropriately sized and not squished all funny. So you can do that using this box right here. So I'm actually just going to go 1.0 and 1.0. And you'll see that it applied that and it made it so that it's not so skewed funny. All right, so I can get that on my label. And now we can go ahead and get that second line of text. So again, we're going to go over here to our A for text. And I'm actually going to, again, I'm going to use that gray area around my label to start typing. All right. And again, it's way bigger than I need it to be. So I'm going to size this now. What do you think that is? Let's try maybe 24. Oops. Let's do it the right way. Here we go. 24. Okay, great. Now that it's the right size, I can bring it on here and see. And we might have to adjust this a little bit, but we can keep typing. Okay, appropriate PPE required. Just like any other program, you just hit enter to go down to the second line. And then I'm going to say refer to NFPA 70E. Okay. Oops, I got a typo here. Let's fix that. And then, got it. Okay, everything else looks good. So again, I'm going to go ahead and center my text on here. And then again, it is a little bit bigger than I need it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these buttons and just kind of squish that in. If I wanted to, again, like I showed you on the last label, we could adjust the line spacing, but I think on this one it looks nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. I can move these up and down. If you needed to, you can set block orders. So as you see these two blocks, my image and this text, they kind of got a little close. So if you start to see that it gives a break point or is overlapping, you can certainly change that block order too, just to make sure things are laying out how you want them to be. So now we've got our label designed here, so we can go ahead and start printing. I just want to adjust that. All right, perfect. Okay, so if we needed to save it, of course we can save it. You just go up to the top, File, Save As, name it, know where it is, all that stuff. But if you're ready to print, we can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the print button here. And it's gonna bring me up this pre-print screen, okay? Now remember I promised you that I would show you how we can choose to print different colors, right? Our top label is orange and our bottom two are white. So how do we do that? So make sure that the advanced settings is, that you're seeing that full screen with the drop down. And we're gonna scroll down a little bit here, and you'll see we get to this print, paste, printing section, okay? Now you can see that it knows, it's recognizing that I have 3 different labels, and I can select this set print range box, and that will allow me to pick and choose which labels I wanted to print. So I have the orange tape in there now, so we're gonna go ahead and select the top label to print orange, and then we'll print the other 2 with the black and white. So again, if I needed multiple copies, I could do a whole bunch of those right now. For time's sake, I'm just gonna do the 1, but if you wanted to, of course, you can set the number of copies, and then I'm just gonna hit print. My printer is going to spit out that beautiful orange warning label, and then what we'll do is we'll just swap to the different supply and print the rest of it. All right, here's my warning label, perfect. Now I'm just gonna switch, so we'll take out orange, put the white in. And then again, same thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit print. I'm gonna select set the print range, and now I'm going to select the bottom 2 labels, number 2 and 3. They're both the same color, so I can print them together. Of course, the more colors you do, you just print them accordingly. Swap out as you need to. And now it is going to print out my next 2 labels. And then when you go ahead and apply them, all you're gonna do is just line them up with each other, peel the backing, stack them on top of each other, and you are good to go. I told you it was a super cool feature. Now, there is so many different applications that you could use for this one. This is a pretty common one, but we've seen some really unique uses for this application. So if you have any questions about print paste or maybe your particular labeling application, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you find a solution for that and come up with these templates or something that's going to solve that issue for you. As always, check back for another video. If you would like to see anything or comment, please do so. Otherwise, happy labeling, and we'll see you next time.